Now, let us move to the discussion of the different kinds of proportions. So we have three, that is direct proportion, those are direct proportion, inverse proportion, and partitive proportion. So we're going to discuss each kind. So first, let's go to direct proportion. What do we mean by direct proportion? So when we have direct proportion, the one quantity increases and the other quantity also increases. So they are both increasing at the same rate. Or, as one quantity decreases, the other quantity also decreases. So in direct proportion, the two quantities has a direct relationship, meaning they are both going at the same direction. When the other one increases, the one also increases. So they are both in the same direction. So the ratio x over y and y over x are always the same. So when we have an increasing first ratio, then the other one also increases, and vice versa. Let us have example for direct proportion. So first example, we have the number of hours you work in your company, in the organization or institution you are involved in, is directly proportional to the amount of your paycheck. How? So when you are working 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., meaning you are getting a specific minimum paycheck for that day, and as you go along and have more days or more number of hours that you have worked in the office or in your work, meaning that you will have an increase. Of course, you will have more amount for your paycheck. And of course, if you have an overtime, meaning you have allotted more number of hours for the work, meaning it's also you will have an additional or more amount for your paycheck, or additional amount for your salary. So the number of hours in your paycheck is directly proportional. And another example, the amount of interest you earned over a fixed period to the amount you invested. So let's say you invested in a bank. Your money, it will earn an interest, then over a period of time, the amount you invested will also increase because it has an interest. So they are directly proportional. So as you increase your investment, you will have a higher interest for that investment over a fixed period of time. Next kind of proportion, we have the inverse proportion. So the inverse proportion is the opposite of the first kind that we have discussed in direct proportion. So in here, as one quantity increases, the other quantity decreases. So this happens at the same rate. Or as one quantity decreases, the other quantity decreases. So they have an opposite direction. So the product, we need to remember that the product of x and y here in inverse proportion is always the same. So we are going to see that in our next examples later. So let's have example for the inverse. The number of people splitting the bill and each person share for that bill. So when we have for person who are earning or splitting the bill, so because they are the one who earns money, so they are the one who will pay for the bills. So each person's share will decrease as as you have more number of people in your family or splitting the bill. So it will lessen the amount that the person or the member of the family that will be the amount contributed by the person or the member of the family. So they will, for example, in your family, your mother and father are earning, so they are the one who are splitting the bill. So you have 1,000 per your every month per month for your electric bill. So each person or your mother and father will have 500 each. And then you have your work, and this time you are going to have your shares for the bill. So you have 1,000 each month. So somehow the bill is also varying, but let's just say that the bill for that month is 1,000. So right now you are 3 who are earning in your home. So you 3 are splitting the bill. So before you have 500 per share, and right now you will divide it the 1,000 to 3. So the person share or the member share for that electric bill will decrease because you have now increased the number of people who are sharing or who are splitting that bill, who are paying for that bill. Next example, we have the number of students working on a school project. So you have a project you have a group project. So let's say you have five members in a group, and then the time that you've spent to complete it. So when we have 5 members in one group and the other has 7 members, so the time that the group 2 who are 7 members, the time that they will spend to complete or to accomplish the project is lesser than the group 1 which has 5 members. So because there are 7, so they are 7 students, meaning they are more number of person or students who are working for that project than the first group. So they have the lesser time to complete that project. So, and lastly, the third kind, we have the partitive proportion. So in partitive proportion, a whole amount is divided into 2 or more unequal parts. So the terms that you need to remember in partitive, its proportion is not unequal. The ratio rather. So an example, we have donating a number of books, which is 4,052 books, to 3 libraries in the ratio 1:2:4. So the ratio here is unequal, so we have 1:2:4. So meaning these 4,052 books will be divided to the total number of in your ratio. So we have 4 plus 2 plus 1, which is 7. So divided into 7, then the quotient will be multiplied to 1:2:4. So each library will have different number of books. Second example, we have 1,200 food money to be given to 4 children in the ratio 2:1. is to 3 is to 4. So we have 4 children here, but they will not have equal amount for their food. So that is in the ratio of 2 is to 1 is to 3 is to 4. So these are examples of partitive proportion. Now, let us have this exercise. So in here, without solving this the following problems, we need to translate this situation as a proportion. Then we are going to identify what kind of proportion we are talking about in that problem. So let's have the first problem. If 210 pesos allowance is shared among 3 children in a ratio 2 is to 3 is to 5, how much would each receive? So, in this problem, what do you think is this kind of proportion? So, we have a given ratio here. 2 is to 3 is to 5. So, this ratio, as we can observe, is unequal. So, meaning that this problem involves a partitive proportion. Okay, let's have another problem. So, number 2, problem. You can buy a bag of grapes for 160 pesos. If you have 960 pesos, of course you have a budget of 960 pesos, how many bags of grapes can you buy? So, in here, per bag of grapes, we have 160 pesos. So, 1 is to 160. So, if we have more than 160, amount of more than 160, which is 960 pesos, so we can buy more number or more bags of grapes. So, meaning, this kind of situation or problem involves direct proportion. Why? Because you can buy, when we divide 960 to 160, we can have more than one value. So, meaning you can buy more than one bag of grapes. So, that means it increases. So, they both increases. So, this means this is direct proportion. And lastly, we have this problem. Third problem, a calamity center has enough food for 130 survivors. This is allotted for 15 days. So, how long will the food last if 80 more survivors join them? So, we are talking about the ratio of the food survivors and then the number of days that they are going to consume the food supply. And we have a given 130 survivors and then there are 80 more. So we added 80. So it becomes 210 survivors. So with 210 survivors, how long will the food supply in the calamity center will last? So meaning the survivors increases. So I think they will consume the food supply for in that calamity center for the least number of days. So this problem, so because they have more people, they will consume it faster than the 15 days. Faster than the 15 days. So this involves inverse proportion because the number of survivor increases but they will consume the food supply in the calamity center with a lesser number of days or lesser time. So that involves inverse proportion because they are in opposite direction.